Hey guys, glad you could make it tonight. We're about to step onto the hot sands of the arena to look at the short, brutal, and very strange life of the Roman gladiator. Forget the heroic freedom fighter. We're focusing on the bizarre reality of being both a slave and a celebrity, a despised outcast who is also one of the biggest stars in the Roman world. But first, find your spot for the night. Get comfortable, let your shoulders relax, and allow your mattress to support you. If these calm tales help you unwind and drift off, go ahead and tap like and subscribe to join us for more. Be sure to tell us in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is there. It's always fascinating to see our global community getting ready for rest. Ready? Take a slow breath in and let it all go. Good. The roar of the crowd is waiting. The year is 117 AD. The reign of the Emperor Trajan is at its peak, and your life as a free man has just come to a violent and humiliating end. You are about to become a Roman gladiator. You stand on a raised wooden platform in the slave market of a major provincial city, perhaps in Gaul or Pannonia. A week ago, you were a warrior of your tribe, fighting Roman legionaries in the misty forests of your homeland. Now you are property. Your hands are bound, a wooden plaque hanging from your neck detailing your age, origin, and any special skills. In your case, skilled with a spear. Very hostile. The sun is hot. The air is thick with the smells of unwashed bodies, livestock, and cheap wine. A crowd of potential buyers prods you, inspects your teeth, checks the muscle in your arms and legs, discussing your merits as if you were a piece of livestock. It is the ultimate degradation. You are a warrior, and you are being sold like an ox. Then a man pushes through the crowd. He is short and powerfully built, with the hard, cynical eyes of a man who deals in human flesh. This is a lanista, an owner and trainer of gladiators. In Roman society, a lanista is considered the lowest of the low, a ghoul who profits from death. But here, in the slave market, he is a man of power. He looks you over, not with the eye of a farmer looking for a field hand, but with the eye of a showman. He is assessing your potential for the arena. He sees your height, your warrior's build, and the defiant fire in your eyes. He sees a good investment. A deal is struck. Coins exchange hands. You have been sold. You are herded off the platform and chained to a line of other newly purchased men, fellow prisoners of war, hulking criminals condemned to the games, and desperate, indebted men who have voluntarily sold themselves into this life. You have been purchased for the ludus, the gladiatorial school. You have taken the first step on a path that leads to one of two places, a shallow grave or a strange and bloody form of glory. You arrive at the ludus, and any lingering hope you had for a noble existence is immediately extinguished. The school is a prison. It is a fortified barracks, surrounded by high walls, its gates barred and guarded. This will be your new home. You are led into a central, sun-baked training yard. The air smells of sweat, fear, and oiled leather. The sound is a constant, rhythmic clang of wooden swords striking shields, and the harsh, guttural shouts of the trainers. You see other men, their bodies scarred and powerfully muscled, going through grueling drills under the watchful eye of their instructors. You are stripped of your old identity. Your tribal name is meaningless here. You are given a new, single Latin name, Crixus or Marcus, something simple and easy for the crowds to chant. You are no longer a person. You are a product, a brand. You are then brought before the lanista and forced to swear the Sacramentum Gladiatorium, the gladiator's sacred oath. A magistrate administers the oath, and with your fellow new recruits, you repeat the terrifying words. Uri vincere, verberari, feroce necari. To be burned, to be bound, to be beaten, and to be killed by the sword. You have just sworn to accept your own potential death as part of your terms of employment. You have relinquished all rights to your own body. You are now, under Roman law, in a state of infamia, a person who is legally dead, without civil rights, on par with actors and prostitutes. You are led to your cell, a small stone room you will share with 3 other men. The door is barred at night. The message is clear. This is not a training camp for heroes. It is a cage for beasts, and you are being fattened for the slaughter. The training, the doctrinaire, begins the next day at dawn, and it is the most physically demanding experience of your life. The head trainer, the doctor, is a former gladiator himself, a man who survived his time in the arena and won his freedom. He is a master of his craft, and he is a brutal, unforgiving teacher. The training is not about the honourable combat of the battlefield. It is about creating a spectacle, a thrilling show for the paying public. You are not being trained to be a soldier. You are being trained to be an entertainer. You begin with the basics, training against a palus, a thick wooden pole stuck in the ground, learning footwork, blocks, and strikes. Your training weapons are not the real thing. You are given a rudis, a wooden sword, and a wicker shield. The training weapons are deliberately made to be twice as heavy as the real ones. The theory is that after months of training with these impossibly heavy implements, the real steel weapons will feel as light as a feather in your hands, making you faster and more deadly in the arena. The daily regimen is relentless. Hours of weapons drills, physical conditioning, and sparring. The doctor and his assistants, the doctoress, watch your every move, correcting your stance, criticizing your technique. A mistake is rewarded with a sharp crack from a whip. You are trained to fight with a kind of brutal elegance. You must not only be effective, you must be entertaining. You learn to expose yourself to a controlled wound, to take a cut on the arm without flinching, to make the fight look dramatic. Most importantly, you are trained how to die. A gladiator who begs for his life, who panics or turns his back, is a disgrace. You are taught to accept death with a calm, stoic dignity, to look your opponent in the eye, and if the crowd demands it, to offer your throat to his blade without protest. A good death is part of the show. It is the final and most important performance of your career. It is a brutal, dehumanizing process designed to strip away your fear and your identity and rebuild you into a perfect, fearless, and utterly disposable killing machine. Life in the ludus is not just training. It is a carefully controlled existence, and everything you do is designed to maximize the Lannister's investment. This is most apparent in your diet. You expect to be fed a warrior's diet of meat and wine to build muscle. The reality is very different. Your meals are monotonous, heavy, and vegetarian. Day after day, you are served a thick, bland porridge of barley and beans. You are nicknamed hordeari, barley men. It is a cheap, efficient way to feed a large number of men, but there is also a scientific, if slightly bizarre, reason for it. This high carbohydrate diet is designed to pack a layer of subcutaneous fat over your newly forged muscles. This is not about making you look soft. It is a form of built-in armor. A layer of fat helps to protect the underlying muscles and nerves from superficial cuts. In the arena, this means you can take a shallow wound, bleed spectacularly for the crowd, which they love, but not be immediately disabled. It allows for longer, bloodier, and therefore more entertaining fights. You are being deliberately fattened up, like a prize pig, to improve the quality of the show. Your health is a top priority, but only in a financial sense. The lanista employs a doctor to tend to your wounds after training. You receive excellent medical care, far better than any ordinary Roman citizen. Massages with warm oil are common to soothe your aching muscles. Your injuries are carefully treated. This is not out of kindness. You are a valuable asset. A gladiator who dies from an infected training wound is a total financial loss. So you are kept in peak physical condition, a strange paradox of being simultaneously cared for like a prize racehorse and treated like a disposable piece of equipment. You are a member of a familiar gladiatoria, a brotherhood of men living under the same brutal conditions, all of you walking the same fine line between being a valuable commodity and being worthless meat. After months of basic training, the lanista and the doctor decide you are ready for specialization. A gladiator is not just a generic fighter, he is a highly trained specialist, a living embodiment of a specific combat archetype. The different types of gladiators, with their unique sets of arms and armor, are designed to be pitted against each other in exciting and often deliberately mismatched contests. It is the Roman version of a real-life fighting game, and you are about to have your character class assigned to you. Your size, strength, and aptitude with a spear make you a perfect candidate for one of the heavily armed classes. You are designated as a mumio. You are given your equipment, your new skin, a large rectangular shield, the scutum, just like a legionary's, a short, straight sword, the gladius, and most distinctively, a heavy bronze helmet with a high fish-like crest, which gives your class its name. The helmet is your greatest protection and your greatest weakness. It protects your head, but the small eye grills offer a severely limited field of vision, and the weight is exhausting. You train against your most common opponent, the Thraex, or Thracian, who carries a small square shield and a wickedly curved sword designed to strike around a shield's edge, and the Hoplomachus, who is armed like a Greek hoplite with a spear and a round shield. But your ultimate nemesis is the Retiarius, the Netman. He is the most unusual and one of the most popular types of gladiator. He is almost completely unarmored, protected only by a shoulder guard. His weapons are a weighted net, a long sharp trident, and a small dagger. The matchup is a classic clash of styles. The slow, heavily armoured mumio, the fish, versus the quick, agile Retiarius, the fisherman. He will try to entangle you in his net and skewer you with his trident, while you try to close the distance and bring your heavy shield and sword to bear. It is a contest engineered for maximum drama and crowd appeal. You are no longer just a warrior. You are an actor, assigned a specific and very deadly role to play. The day finally comes. The editor of the upcoming games, a wealthy local magistrate, has visited the ludus and has contracted the lanista to provide a dozen pairs of gladiators for the next festival. Your name is on the list. You are to make your debut. The night before the games, a strange tradition takes place. You and the other gladiators who are scheduled to fight are given the cena libera, the free dinner. It is a lavish public banquet, a stark contrast to your usual diet of barley mush. There is roasted meat, fine wine, and delicacies you have never seen before. But it is not a celebration. The public is invited to attend, to walk among the tables and gawp at the men who will be fighting for their entertainment the next day. They are the morbidly curious, the gamblers trying to size you up, the wealthy matrons who have a strange fascination with your dangerous profession. You are a celebrity and a condemned man, all at once. You eat the rich food, trying to enjoy what might be your last meal, while strangers stare at you, commenting on your physique, whispering about your chances. Some gladiators are stoic and silent. Others are boisterous, drinking heavily and boasting of what they will do in the arena. A few, the new ones like you, are visibly terrified. Their faces pale beneath their fight-worn skin. It is a surreal, unsettling experience. You are being fated and mourned at the same time. That night, back in your cell, you do not sleep. You lie awake, listening to the sounds of the ludus, the snores of your cellmates, the distant footfalls of the guards. You sharpen your gladius one last time. The scrape of stone on steel, a meditative, final sound. You are as ready as you will ever be. The day of the games begins with the pompa, a grand procession from the ludus to the amphitheatre. You are dressed in elaborate, colourful robes, and you march through the city streets, a parade of future ghosts. The crowds are immense, cheering, jeering, throwing flowers. The amphitheatre looms before you, a colossal bowl of stone, roaring with the sound of 50,000 spectators. You march into the arena, salute the editor of the games, and parade around the sand. The scale of the place, the sheer wall of noise, is overwhelming. But your performance is not the first act of the day. You are led back down into the carcere, the dark, labyrinthine holding cells beneath the arena floor. And you wait. The first part of the day is the venationes, the wild animal hunts. You hear the roars of lions, the trumpeting of elephants, the screams of the beasts and the men who hunt them. The smell of blood and exotic animals drifts down into your cell. Then comes the midday entertainment, the noxii. This is the public execution of condemned criminals. And the Romans are creative. You hear the sounds of men being mauled by beasts, of others being forced to reenact gruesome myths, of crucifixions. It is a state-sanctioned spectacle of cruelty, designed to be a grim warning to the populace. For you, it is a horrifying appetizer. This is the world you now inhabit, a world of professional, commercialized death. The crowd loves it. Their appetite for blood has been whetted. Now they are ready for the main event. They are ready for you. A trumpet blast echoes through the subterranean corridors. It is your turn. You and your opponent, a seasoned Thraex, are led up a ramp and through a gate, out into the blinding sunlight of the arena. The roar of 50,000 people hits you like a physical blow. The air is hot and smells of dust, blood, and the perfumed water that is sometimes sprayed over the crowd. You walk to the centre of the arena, the hot sand crunching under your sandals. You raise your weapon in salute to the editor of the games, the man who will decide your fate. Morituri te salutant. Those who are about to die salute you. The fight begins. There is a referee, the Summa Rudis, in the arena with you, ready to separate you if the fight becomes bogged down, or if a piece of equipment breaks. All of your training, all of the drills, all of the beatings, have come down to this. The Thraex is fast, his curved sword darting around the edge of your large shield. He is trying to get at your less armoured legs. You keep your shield wall up, trying to close the distance, to use your greater weight and the power of your gladius. The crowd roars with every blow, every near miss. They are a single, monstrous entity, swaying with the rhythm of the combat. You are not just fighting your opponent, you are playing to the crowd. A feint, a dramatic block, a powerful counter-attack. You are performing the dance of death. The Thraex's blade gets past your guard and slices a deep gash in your thigh. The pain is white hot, but you do not cry out. You do not even flinch. You show no weakness. The crowd roars its approval. You see an opening. You slam your heavy shield into his, knocking him off balance, and in the same motion you thrust with your gladius, catching him in the shoulder. He stumbles back, his shield arm now useless, and he drops his sword. The fight is over. It has lasted less than 5 minutes. Your opponent, wounded and disarmed, raises the forefinger of his left hand. It is the universal sign of submission, of surrender. He is appealing for missio, for mercy. You stand over him, your sword at his throat, but you do not strike. You look to the editor's box. The fate of this man is no longer in your hands, or his. It is in the hands of the crowd, and of the man who paid for the show. A hush falls over the massive crowd. 50,000 pairs of eyes are on the editor of the games. The wounded Thraex fought bravely. He gave a good show. The crowd begins to cheer for him, waving pieces of cloth, a sign that they wish for him to be spared. The editor, a politician at heart, sees the mood of the crowd and obliges. He gives the signal. The exact gesture is lost to history. It was likely a closed fist with 2 fingers extended, or a thumb tucked inside the fist to represent a sheathed sword. But the meaning is clear. Missio. Mercy. You lower your sword. The Thraex is helped from the arena by attendants, to be treated by the doctors. He has lost the fight, but he will live to fight another day. You have won. You are the victor. The crowd is chanting your new name. You raise your sword to them, your leg throbbing with pain, your body slick with sweat and blood. A slave presents you with a palm branch, the symbol of victory. Later, you will receive a cash prize. You have survived your debut. That night, back in the Ludus, you are no longer just another trainee. You are a veteran. You are a winner. In the city, your name is already being scratched as graffiti on the walls of public buildings. Crixus. Victor. You hear stories that wealthy Roman women are paying the lanista for a private audience with you. You are a slave. You are legally dead. Your life is a brutal, violent, and likely short one. But in the strange, blood-soaked world of the Roman arena, you are also a hero. You are a star. You are a gladiator. The Roman gladiator was the ultimate paradox, a figure of both supreme degradation and incredible celebrity. He was a slave whose image might adorn the dinner plates of the wealthy, a social outcast who was also a sex symbol, a disposable piece of property who could achieve a level of fame that outshone senators. His life was a short, brutal, and highly disciplined performance. In a society obsessed with status, he existed at the very bottom, yet in the arena, in those few fleeting moments on the hot sand, he could hold the power of life and death and command the adoration of the entire Roman world. We're seeking sanctuary from the chaotic medieval world by taking a look at life inside a monastery. We have this romantic image of a peaceful, contemplative life. Monks gliding silently through serene cloisters, illuminating beautiful manuscripts and chanting in angelic harmony. The brutal reality, however, was a life of bone-aching labour, intense psychological pressure, and a relentlessly structured routine that began with a wake-up call in the freezing dead of night. It was less a gentle spiritual retreat and more a divinely inspired boot camp for the soul. The sound that rips you from a shallow, exhausted sleep is not a gentle call to prayer. It is the sharp, insistent clang of a handbell, wielded by the monastery's sacristan as he walks the length of the long, dark dormitory. It is the middle of the night. It is perhaps 2 o'clock in the morning. Outside, the world is a black, wintry void. Inside the dormitory, the only light is the single lantern carried by the sacristan, its flickering flame casting long, dancing shadows on the stone walls. The cold is a physical presence. It bites at your exposed face and seeps up from the stone floor, through the thin soles of your leather sandals. You are a novice, given to this Benedictine monastery by your family as a child, an oblate, a living offering to God. This has been your entire world for years. You swing your legs out of your simple straw-stuffed mattress and onto the freezing floor. You sleep in your woolen habit, a practical measure against the constant gnawing cold. Around you, the other 60 monks of the abbey are doing the same. A series of groans, coughs, and the soft shuffle of feet in the near-total darkness. There is no time to wake up slowly. The bell has rung. God is waiting. To be late for the divine office is a serious offence. You and your brothers file out of the dormitory and into the covered walkway of the cloister. The air in the open courtyard is even colder, and you pull your cowl over your head, your breath pluming in the frigid air. You move in a silent, shuffling procession towards the abbey church. This is the first of the 8 prayer services that will dictate the rhythm of your day, the liturgy of the hours. This is vigils or matins, the night office. It is the longest, the darkest, and the most grueling of them all. You are tired. You are always tired, but you are a soldier of Christ, and this is your watch. You enter the vast cavernous space of the abbey church. It is a masterpiece of new Gothic architecture, with soaring stone arches that disappear into the darkness above. But it is an unheated stone box. The cold inside is a deep, penetrating force that seems to settle in your very bones. The only light comes from the candles on the high altar and a few tallow lamps scattered around the choir. You take your place in your assigned wooden stall in the choir, the polished oak cool and hard beneath you. The abbot gives a signal, and the service begins. The first notes of the Gregorian chant echo in the immense dark space. The sound is beautiful, unearthly. A single unified voice of men, singing the psalms in Latin, the sacred language you have been learning since you were a child. For the next 2 hours you will stand, sit and kneel, your body moving through the prescribed postures of the liturgy, your voice joining the ceaseless river of prayer that has flowed through this abbey, day and night, for 100 years. The service is a long and complex series of psalms, hymns and readings from the scriptures and the lives of the saints. You must know it all by heart. Books are precious, and there are not enough to go around. The words are beautiful, the theology profound, but in the deep, cold dark of a winter's night, the reality of the service is a brutal battle against the simple, overwhelming desire to sleep. You fight to keep your eyes open, to focus on the Latin phrases, to keep your voice in tune with the others. You see an older monk a few stalls down, his head slumped forward, his chanting momentarily silenced by sleep. He snaps awake a moment later, his face a mask of shame. This is a core part of your spiritual discipline, to deny the body, to force the mind to focus on God when all it wants is the warmth and oblivion of sleep. It is a form of penance, of sacrifice. As the long service finally draws to a close, you are not filled with a sense of spiritual ecstasy. You are filled with a deep, weary ache and the cold, hard knowledge that the sun is still hours away from rising. The work of God is exhausting. After the night office, you are granted a brief, precious reprieve. You file back in silence to the cold dormitory for what the rule of St. Benedict calls the interval. It is a period of an hour or two, depending on the season, where you are allowed to return to your bed before the next service. You crawl back under your coarse woolen blanket, but deep restorative sleep is impossible. Your body is cold, and your mind is still buzzing with the Latin chants. It is a fitful, shallow sleep, a temporary pause in the relentless machinery of the monastic day. It feels like you have only just closed your eyes when the sacristan's bell rings again, its sharp clang cutting through the darkness. It is time for Lauds, the dawn prayer. You once again drag your weary body from your bed and make your way to the church. This service is shorter, more joyful in tone. It is a celebration of the coming of the light, a welcoming of the new day, a symbol of Christ's resurrection. As you chant the Psalms, the first pale grey light of dawn begins to filter through the high windows of the church, slowly illuminating the dust motes dancing in the cold air. The arrival of the light brings a small measure of relief, a psychological boost after the deep darkness of the night, but it also signals that the contemplative part of your day is over. Now the active part begins, the part that involves work, hard, physical work. After Lauds, there's another short service, Prime, and then the real business of the day commences. The monastic life is a delicate balance of two principles, as laid out in the rule of Saint Benedict, ora et labora, prayer and work. You have prayed, now you must work. After Prime, the entire monastic community gathers in the chapter house. This is the administrative heart of the monastery, a formal meeting room where the abbot presides from a stone chair like a king on his throne. You and the other monks sit on stone benches that line the walls. The meeting begins with a reading of a chapter from the Rule of St. Benedict, the 6th century guide that governs every aspect of your life. It is a daily reminder of your vows of poverty, chastity, and most importantly, obedience. After the reading, the abbot discusses the business of the day, assigning tasks and making announcements. Then comes the most nerve-wracking part of the meeting, the public confession of faults. The rule encourages monks to voluntarily and publicly accuse themselves of any infractions. A brother might stand and confess to having had unkind thoughts about another monk, or to having fallen asleep during the night office. It is an act of institutionalized humility. But it is also a forum for accusation. A monk can accuse another brother of a fault. The accused must then prostrate himself on the floor, awaiting the abbot's judgment and penance, which could be anything from fasting to a whipping. It is a system designed to enforce discipline and root out pride, but it also creates a tense atmosphere of constant surveillance and potential public shame. You keep your eyes downcast, praying you have not been seen committing some minor error. Today, you are spared. After the confessions, the cellarer, the monk in charge of all the monastery's physical provisions, assigns the day's labour. As a novice, you are not yet trusted with the delicate scholarly work of the scriptorium. You are assigned to the fields. Your prayer for the day will be offered with a hoe and a saw back. You walk out of the cloister and head towards the vast fields that surround the abbey. The monastery is not just a place of prayer. It is a massive, self-sufficient economic enterprise. It is a great farm, a centre of agricultural innovation, and the monks are the primary workforce. The vow of poverty applies to you as an individual. You own nothing, not even the clothes on your back. But the monastery as a corporation can be, and often is, incredibly wealthy, a major landowner, with vast flocks of sheep and fields of grain. Your task for the day is to help with the winter ploughing. The ground is hard and cold, and the work is relentless. You are part of a team guiding a heavy, iron-tipped plough, pulled by a team of lumbering oxen. The work is identical to that of any peasant farmer in the surrounding villages. Your hands, soft when you first arrived as a child, are now tough and calloused. Your back, which should be bent in prayer, is instead bent in hard, physical labour. The Cistercians, another monastic order, even more austere than yours, take this principle to its extreme, setting up their monasteries in wild, uncultivated lands and transforming them through their own back-breaking labour. Most of the work is done in silence. In some stricter orders, speech is forbidden entirely outside of prayer services, and a complex sign language is used to communicate. In your Benedictine house, the rules are slightly more relaxed, but idle chatter is a sin. You work and you are supposed to meditate on God. In reality, your mind is focused on the stubborn roots in the soil, the ache in your shoulders, and the gnawing emptiness in your stomach. It is a long, slow, and monotonous morning. This is the laborar that balances the aura. It is meant to keep you humble, to tire out your body, and to prevent the sin of idleness, which the rule calls the enemy of the soul. It is also, you reflect, an extremely efficient way to run a large agricultural estate. Around noon, the bell rings again, a welcome sound signalling the end of the morning's work and the call to the main meal of the day. You and the other monks working in the fields down your tools and head back to the cloister. First, you must wash. You go to the lavatorium, a large trough-like stone basin in the cloister with running water, a luxury of hygiene in the medieval world. You wash the dirt and sweat from your hands and face before filing into the refectory, the great dining hall. The refectory is a long, high-ceilinged room set up with rows of simple wooden tables and benches. You take your assigned seat. The meal is eaten in absolute silence. The only sound is the clatter of spoons on wooden bowls. Talking is forbidden. To communicate, you use a simple sign language. A gesture for bread, another for water. The meal itself is simple but nourishing. A thick pottage of vegetables and grains from the monastery's own gardens. A loaf of dark, coarse bread. A tankard of weak ale, which is safer to drink than the local water. Meat is generally forbidden, except for the sick and the elderly. On special feast days, or when fish is available from the monastery's ponds, the meal is a cause for celebration. Today, it is just pottage. As you eat, another monk, the designated reader for the week, stands at a raised pulpit at the end of the hall. He reads aloud from a religious text, the Bible, the writings of one of the church fathers, or the life of a saint. His droning voice fills the silent hall. This is meant to provide spiritual nourishment along with the physical. It ensures that even during a meal, your mind is focused on sacred matters. It also, you have found, makes it very difficult to notice what you are actually eating. The meal is not a moment for rest or social interaction. It is another ritual, another act of discipline. You eat what you are given, quickly and quietly, your eyes downcast. Gluttony is a sin. Wasting food is a sin. Taking pleasure in the taste of your food is questionable. The meal is sustenance, fuel to get you through the rest of the day's work and prayer. When the abbot taps a small bell, the meal is over. You file out of the refectory as silently as you entered. Your afternoon's labour is a welcome change from the fields. You have been assigned a few hours of work in the scriptorium. This is the intellectual heart of the monastery, the room where books are made. You enter the room, which is located off the cloister to catch the best light. A disciplined quiet hangs in the air, broken only by the soft scratch of quills on parchment. Unlike the freezing church, the scriptorium is often one of the warmest rooms in the monastery, sometimes located above the kitchens to keep the ink from freezing and the scribe's fingers from going numb. As a novice, you're not yet allowed to be a scribe, a copier of texts. That is a highly skilled art that takes years of training. Your job is at the bottom of the production line. You're preparing the writing materials. Your task today is to scrape a large sheepskin that has been soaked in lime, stretched on a wooden frame, and dried. Using a special curved knife, you must scrape the skin to an even thinness, removing any remaining hairs and imperfections, creating a smooth cream-coloured surface. This is parchment, the primary writing material of the age. The work is smelly, messy, and tedious. It can take days to prepare a single perfect sheet. In another corner of the room, another brother is mixing ink, cooking oak galls and copperas with gum arabic to create the dark, indelible ink used for the text. Another is preparing the vibrant pigments for the illuminations, grinding minerals like lapis lazuli or cinnabar and mixing them with egg whites. It is a craft, a science, and an art. You look over at the senior scribes, bent over their sloping desks, their hands moving with a steady, unwavering grace as they copy a page from the Gospels. Their concentration is absolute. Each letter is a perfect, tiny work of art. It is here that the great legacy of your order is being forged. In a largely illiterate world, your monastery is a fortress of knowledge, preserving the wisdom of the ancient world through the long, slow, and painstaking labour of these men. It is a sacred duty. But as you scrape away at your smelly sheepskin, you realise that this noble, intellectual pursuit is also a messy, blue-collar job. The afternoon is punctuated by the ringing of the bells, calling you back to the church for the services of sext and nun. The rhythm of the day is relentless, a constant oscillation between work and prayer. There is no free time, no moment for idleness. As the sun begins its slow descent, casting long shadows across the cloister courtyard, the bell rings for vespers, the evening prayer. You and your brothers gather once again in the church. The candles on the altar are lit, their small flames a warm and welcome sight as the world outside grows dim. Vespers is one of the most beautiful of the services. The chanting of the Magnificat, the Song of Mary, echoes through the high stone vaults. There is a sense of the day's labour being complete, a sense of peace settling over the community. After the service, there is a light supper, often just the leftovers from the midday meal, eaten in silence as before. This is followed by a final gathering in the chapter house, not for business but for a reading. The abbot or another senior monk will read a passage from an inspirational text, a final piece of spiritual guidance before the day ends. You feel a profound weariness, a fatigue that is both physical and mental. Your body aches from the ploughing. Your mind is saturated with the Latin of the day's services and readings. You have been awake, for the most part, for nearly 18 hours, and your day has been a tightly choreographed dance of prayer, labour, and ritual. There has been no room for your own thoughts, your own desires. That is the point. The entire monastic life is designed to subordinate the individual will to the will of the community and to the will of God. It is a slow, methodical erasing of the self. The final bell of the day rings. It is time for Compline, the night prayer. This is the last service, a short and simple conclusion to the day. You chant the final psalms, asking for God's protection through the coming night. Compline has a feeling of profound finality. After the last Amen is spoken, the abbot sprinkles the monks with holy water as they file out of the church. The moment you step out of the church, the great silence begins. From now until the chapter meeting after prime the next morning, not a single word is to be spoken by anyone, for any reason. You walk in silent procession back to the dormitory. The moon is out, casting a pale, ghostly light over the cloister. The only sound is the soft shuffle of your sandals on the cold stone. You enter the dormitory and go to your bed. There is no conversation, no good nights, just the quiet rustle of 60 men settling down to sleep. You lie on your straw mattress, the events of the long day replaying in your mind, the cold pre-dawn chants, the sweat of the fields, the quiet focus of the scriptorium, the silent meals. You are a single cog in a vast, complex and sacred machine. The machine is designed for one purpose, the glory of God. It is a life of immense sacrifice, a life stripped of all the normal human comforts of family, privacy, and personal choice. It is a hard life, a cold life, and a monotonous life. But it is also a life of profound order and purpose in a world that is often chaotic and meaningless. You close your eyes. You have a few precious hours of sleep before the sacristan's bell will ring again in the deep, silent darkness, and the great, sacred, and grueling wheel of the monastic day begins to turn once more. The silent, sacred world of the medieval monastery was not an escape from the hardships of the world, but rather a different and in some ways more demanding form of struggle. It was a life of relentless routine, physical labour, and an iron discipline that governed every waking and sleeping moment. The monks who inhabited these stone fortresses of faith were not gentle dreamers. They were tough, resilient, and disciplined men, spiritual athletes engaged in a lifelong, grueling marathon for the salvation of their souls and the soul of the world. Tonight, we're journeying deep into the past, further back than ever before, to the Ice Age. We're going to explore the life of one of humanity's oldest and most mysterious figures, the Shaman. We imagine them as powerful mystical figures, wise sages who spoke with spirits and commanded the forces of nature. The brutal reality is that being a shaman was likely one of the most stressful and dangerous jobs of the Paleolithic era. You were your tribe's doctor, therapist, weatherman, and spiritual guide, all rolled into one. And if the hunt failed, or someone got sick, everyone looked at you. The first thing you are aware of is the cold. Not the sharp, biting cold of the open air, but the deep, damp chill of the earth that seeps up through your bed, of moss and animal furs. You wake before the others, not because of a sound, but because of a feeling, a shift in the wind, a dream of a hunting cat. Your senses are your sacred texts, and you must always be reading them. You are the shaman. You are the one who listens. Your place is with the clan, but also slightly apart. Your shelter is a small alcove at the edge of the main cave mouth, close enough to be a part of the family, far enough away to hold your mysteries. This role was not one you chose. It chose you. Perhaps it was a sickness in your youth that brought you to the edge of death and back, leaving you with visions. Perhaps it was a lightning strike that hit a tree beside you and left you unharmed. Whatever the cause, you were marked as different, as someone who walks with one foot in the world of the living and one foot in the vast, shimmering world of the spirits. It is not a gift. It is a burden, a heavy and often terrifying responsibility. You rise and push aside the heavy hide that covers your alcove. The pre-dawn air is sharp and clean, smelling of pine and the cold stone of the cliffs. The sky is a deep, star-pricked indigo, and you watch the movements of the star herds, a silent cosmic hunt that tells you of the coming seasons. You are the keeper of the calendar, the one who knows when the salmon will run, when the berries will ripen, when the great herds of bison will begin their migration. Your people's survival depends on this knowledge. You pull your furs tighter around you. The clan still sleeps around the glowing embers of the central fire, a small, fragile island of warmth and life in a vast, cold, and dangerous world. And you are its designated lifeguard. As the clan begins to stir with the first light of dawn, your work begins. The people emerge from their sleeping furs, stretching, yawning. Their voices a low murmur that fills the great cave entrance. This is the time for your morning rounds. You are not just a spiritual guide. You are the clan's only doctor. Your knowledge is the accumulated wisdom of 100 generations. A vast and complex understanding of the natural world passed down in stories, songs, and secret instruction. A young mother approaches you, her face etched with worry. Her child is hot with fever, crying with a pain in his ear. You go to the child, your presence alone a comfort. You place a cool hand on his forehead. You murmur a soft rhythmic chant to soothe the bad spirit you believe is causing the sickness. Then you get to work. From a leather pouch, you take a pinch of dried willow bark, a plant that contains the ancient form of aspirin, and instruct the mother to brew it into a bitter tea. For the ear, you crush a clove of wild garlic, a powerful antiseptic, and mix it with a little animal fat, creating a poultice to be placed gently on the outer ear. Next, one of the hunters shows you a deep gash on his arm from a fall during yesterday's hunt. It is red, swollen, and angry looking. The spirit of the wound is clearly unhappy. You clean the wound with a decoction of astringent herbs. Then you show the hunter the small, wriggling maggots you keep in a moss-lined pouch. You carefully place them in the wound. They will eat the dead, rotting flesh, leaving the healthy tissue clean. A startlingly effective, if gruesome, medical technique. To close the wound, you will use a large ant, making it bite the edges of the skin together, then twisting its body off, leaving the head as a natural suture. Your medicine is a seamless blend of the practical and the magical. You set a broken bone with a splint of bark and wood, but you also draw a sacred symbol on the splint to speed the bone's knitting. You treat a cough with a tea made from fir needles, but you also blow the smoke of sacred herbs over the patient to chase the cough spirit away. To your mind, there is no difference between the two. The physical world and the spirit world are one and the same, and you are the only one who knows how to treat a patient in both. The leader of the hunt, a strong, pragmatic man named Kyle, approaches you. His face is grim. "The herds are gone," he says, his voice a low rumble. "We have walked for 2 days and seen nothing but old tracks. The people are hungry." He is not just giving you a status update. He is asking a question. Where should we go? What should we do? The clan is looking to you. You are their compass, their forecaster. The pressure is immense. If you give bad advice, if the hunters follow your guidance and return empty-handed again, the clan will starve. And their faith in you, the very foundation of your authority, will begin to crack. You do not have maps or satellites. Your tools are your senses, your experience, and your connection to the spirit world. You begin the process of divination. You walk to the edge of the cliff and stare out over the vast rolling tundra. You are not just looking, you are reading. You watch the flight of an eagle, noting its direction, the way it circles. You observe the patterns of the clouds, the way the wind moves the tall grasses. These are all words in a language you have spent your life learning to understand. You return to the cave and perform a more formal ritual. You take the shoulder blade of a deer from a previous successful hunt and place it in the sacred fire. As the bone heats, cracks begin to spread across its surface. This is scapulimancy, the art of reading the future in the cracks of a burnt bone. You stare into the complex web of lines, your mind in a state of deep concentration. You are not looking for a literal map. You are looking for a story, a sign. The cracks seem to form the shape of a river valley, a tributary you know of to the north. One of the cracks points towards a shape that looks like a leaning stone. You close your eyes and summon your spirit guide, a great cave bear you met in a vision long ago. You ask for its wisdom. The answer comes not in words, but in a feeling, an instinct, a sense of certainty. You open your eyes. You have the answer. You go to Kyle and tell him, go north, to the valley of the leaning stone. Follow the river. The bison are there. They are waiting. Kyle looks at you, his gaze searching. He nods. He trusts you. And you pray to every spirit you know that you are right. Your medicine pouches are running low. The child's fever and the hunter's wound have depleted your stock of willow bark and garlic. It is time to restock. Your work requires a constant, intimate knowledge of the landscape, a living mental map of every plant, every stream, every rock formation for miles around. You set off alone, your digging stick in hand and a set of leather pouches at your belt. This is not a casual walk. This is a pharmaceutical expedition. You are a master botanist. You know that the yew tree provides a hard, strong wood for bows, but that its needles are a deadly poison. You know that the bright red berries of one plant will kill a man, while the nearly identical berries of another can be used to soothe a cough. This knowledge is your power and your secret. You move through the forest with a quiet, practiced ease. You gather the things you need, the spongy moss that can be used as a wound dressing, the mushrooms that can stop bleeding, the leaves of the wild raspberry for a tea to calm a pregnant woman's womb. Your journey takes you to a dark, damp glen where a special kind of fungus grows on the bark of a birch tree. This is a powerful tool, one you use with extreme caution. It can be used as a fire starter, but prepared in another way, it can produce a powerful hallucinogen, a key to unlock the doors to the spirit world. You gather it carefully, wrapping it in a special pouch. You're not just gathering medicines for the body. You are gathering medicines for the soul. As you walk, you're also gathering information. You are a scout. You notice the fresh tracks of a herd of reindeer, a good sign for a future hunt. You see the claw marks of a cave lion on a tree, a warning to the clan's children. You find a patch of ripe berries and make a mental note to tell the women where to find it. You are the clan's central nervous system, constantly absorbing sensory data, processing it, and turning it into useful, life-saving information. The safety and prosperity of your people depends on your ability to see what others do not, to understand the subtle connections that bind your world together. Days pass. A feeling of dread begins to settle over the clan. Kyle and the hunters have returned from the valley of the leaning stone, and they are empty-handed. Their faces are grim, their bodies weary. There was nothing, Kyle says, his voice flat. Only old tracks. The spirits misled you. The words are not an accusation. Not yet. But the meaning is clear. The failure is not one of luck. It is a spiritual failure. And it is your failure. The hunger in the clan is no longer a worry. It is a reality. The children's cries are thin and weak. The elders are silent, their faces etched with a deep, familiar fear. The mood of the clan shifts. The respect with which they usually treat you is replaced by a subtle, fearful avoidance. Their glances are a mixture of hope and blame. You are their only hope for setting things right, but you are also the cause of their current misfortune. It is the terrible paradox of your position. You are the lightning rod for all the clan's anxieties. You must fix this. You must find out what has angered the animal spirits. You must journey to the other world and beg for their forgiveness. You retreat to your solitary alcove. The great and dangerous work must be prepared for. You will not eat or drink for 2 days, a fast to purify your body and open your mind. You sit in the darkness, your body growing weaker, your senses becoming sharper. You chant the ancient words, the names of the animal spirits, your voice a low monotonous hum that seems to come from the earth itself. You are detaching yourself from the world of the flesh, preparing to travel into the world of shadow and spirit. It is a journey from which you might not return. You have heard the stories of other shamans, of men and women who went into the spirit world and were torn apart by hostile forces, their minds lost in a terrifying labyrinth of visions forever. You are afraid, but your fear is smaller than the clan's hunger. It is your duty. As the sun sets on the second day of your fast, you take out the small pouch containing the sacred fungus. You mix it with water and a little honey, creating a potent, earthy brew. You drink it down, the taste bitter and strange. Then you wait. You wait for the world to dissolve. The time has come. You feel the first effects of the sacred mushroom. The shadows in your small cave begin to move, to breathe. The familiar patterns on the rock walls swirl and coalesce into the shapes of animals. Your senses are heightened, the sound of your own heartbeat a deafening drum. You rise, your body feeling strangely light, and call for Kale and the other hunters. It is time to go to the sacred place. It is time to go to the great cave. You lead them away from the camp, into the darkness of the night. The journey to the cave is a ritual in itself. You move in silence, your minds focused on the sacred task ahead. The entrance to the cave is a small dark mouth in the side of a limestone cliff, a place you have not visited since the last great hunt of the winter. It is not a place of living, it is a place of worship. It is the womb of the Earth Mother, the place where the world of the living and the world of the spirits touch. You light a small stone lamp filled with animal fat, its single smoky flame pushing back the immense darkness. You lead the hunters inside. The air is immediately cold, still, and heavy with the smell of damp earth and something else, a kind of ancient sacred silence. You move deeper and deeper into the earth, your small lamps casting huge dancing shadows. The passage twists and turns, sometimes so narrow you must squeeze through sideways. The only sound is the drip of water from the stalactites above and the soft shuffle of your own feet. You are leaving the world of the sun behind, journeying into the underworld. After what feels like an eternity, you arrive. You enter a vast echoing chamber, and you raise your lamps, and the walls come alive. In the flickering light, the great murals painted by your ancestors seem to move. Herds of bison, their bodies powerful and shaggy, graceful long-necked horses, fierce saber-toothed cats, their mouths open in a silent roar. This is not just art. This is a portal. These are not pictures of animals. They are the spirits of the animals themselves. You have come to their home to speak with them. The ritual begins. You begin to chant, your voice echoing strangely in the vast chamber. The other hunters join in, their voices a low, resonant drone. You start to beat a small, hide-covered drum, its rhythm the heartbeat of the earth. You begin to dance. It is not a dance of celebration, but a dance of trance, of transformation. Your movements are jerky, animalistic. Your fast and the sacred mushroom are taking full effect. The world around you begins to dissolve. The stone walls of the cave melt away. The painted animals are no longer paint. They are flesh and blood and spirit, their great bodies moving around you. You are no longer in the cave. You are in the spirit world. It is a place of shifting shadows and terrifying beauty. You feel the presence of the great animal spirits, ancient and powerful. You are a small, fragile mortal in their domain. You search for the master of the animals, the great spirit who controls the herds. You see him in a vision, a towering figure, half man, half bison, his eyes glowing with a cold, ancient light. You prostrate yourself before him, not as a shaman, but as a humble beggar. You ask him why he is withholding the herds from your people. The answer comes not in words, but in a torrent of images and feelings. You see a vision of the last successful hunt. You see a hunter, in his haste and excitement, failing to perform the proper ritual of respect over the body of a slain bison. He did not thank the animal's spirit for its sacrifice. He did not release its spirit back to the herd. The master of the animals is offended. The disrespect has broken the sacred pact between the hunters and the hunted. The spirit shows you what must be done. A new pact must be made. A sign of respect must be shown. The vision is overwhelming, terrifying. Your mind feels like it is shattering into 1,000 pieces. You fall to the floor of the cave, the drum falling silent, and you know nothing more. You wake up on the cold floor of the cave. The lamps have burned low. The hunters are huddled around you, their faces filled with concern. You are weak, your body drenched in sweat, your throat raw from chanting. But your mind is clear. You have the answer. You have returned from the great darkness, and you have brought back the knowledge your people need to survive. You sit up, your limbs trembling, and you begin to speak. You tell Kale and the others of your vision, of the disrespected bison spirits, of the broken pact. There is no doubt among them. Your words carry the weight of the spirit world. You instruct them on the ritual that must be performed. A new painting must be made here in the cave, not of a successful hunt, but of a hunt that is yet to come. It must be a painting of offering, of respect. You mix the pigments, the red ochre and the black manganese, with animal fat and spit, and by the light of the lamps, you guide the hand of the most skilled artist among the hunters, as he paints the image of a great bison on the cave wall. Then you take a spear, and in a ritual act, you kill the painted bison, thanking its spirit, promising that your people will honor the pact from this day forward. You return to the surface, blinking in the bright sunlight, the entire clan waiting for you. You are exhausted, but you feel a sense of profound peace. You have done your duty. The next day, Kyle and the hunters go out again, their spirits renewed, their purpose clear. They travel not to the valley of the leaning stone, but to the place you saw in your vision. And the herds are there. The hunt is successful. That night, there is a great feast in the cave. The meat of the bison is shared among the clan, and the proper rituals of thanks are performed over the great beast's remains. Your status as shaman is secure. You have once again navigated the treacherous currents of the spirit world and brought your people safely to shore. The life of a shaman in the Ice Age was not one of mystical contemplation. It was a life of immense, crushing responsibility. It was a constant high-stakes performance, where the health, the food, and the very meaning of your people's lives rested on your shoulders. You were the bridge between the fragile human world and the vast, terrifying, and powerful world of the spirits. You were the keeper of the stories, the guardian of the sacred fire, the master of the life-giving plants. You were the lonely sentinel who stood watch over the soul of your clan, ensuring its survival against the long, cold, and often brutal darkness. The samurai sword. We see it in movies as a near-magical blade, capable of slicing through anything, wielded by stoic warriors in epic flashy duels. But the brutal reality of the katana was far more complex. For the samurai of peaceful Edo Japan, the sword was less a tool for daily combat and more a high-stakes symbol of status, governed by a terrifyingly complex code of etiquette where one wrong move could get you killed. It was the world's most dangerous fashion accessory. The air in the dojo is heavy with the scent of wood, sweat, and discipline. The year is 1685, and your life is about to be defined by 2 pieces of curved steel. You are 16 years old, and this is the most important day of your life. It is the day of your genpuku, your coming-of-age ceremony. You are no longer a boy. Today, you will be recognized as a samurai. You kneel on the tatami mat floor of your family's home, your heart a frantic drum against your ribs. Your father, a man whose stern face rarely betrays emotion, kneels before you. He presents you not with a gift, but with a burden, a sacred and very heavy burden. He presents you with your daisho. The daisho, literally big small, is the matched pair of swords that are the exclusive right and symbol of your caste. First, the katana, the longsword, its black lacquered scabbard, or saya, gleaming in the soft light. Its gentle curve is a thing of deadly beauty. Second, the wakizashi, the shorter companion sword. Together they are more than weapons. Your father tells you, his voice low and serious, that they are the soul of the samurai. They are your honor made manifest. You are to carry them always, and they are never to leave your side, waking or sleeping. You accept the swords with a deep, reverent bow. The weight of them is surprising. It is a solid, physical presence. You learn how to properly tie them into your obi, your sash, blades facing up, ready for a swift upward draw. As you stand and walk for the first time as a man, you are clumsy, acutely aware of the 2.5 feet of sharpened steel hanging at your side. This is not a prize. It is a constant, visible reminder of your duties, your obligations, and the ever-present potential for violence that underpins the rigid peace of the Tokugawa shogunate. You have just been handed the most revered and feared object in Japan, and now you must learn how not to use it. Your formal training in the way of the sword, Kenjutsu, begins the very next day. You report to the dojo of your family's chosen swordmaster, or sensei. The dojo is a simple, spacious hall of dark, polished wood. The air is clean but heavy, smelling of floor wax, sweat, and something else. A kind of deep, disciplined focus. Your sensei is an old man, small and wiry, but he moves with a coiled energy that is both inspiring and terrifying. He does not greet you warmly. He simply hands you a bokken, a heavy, unforgiving sword carved from a single piece of oak. This will be your primary training tool for a very long time. You expect to learn secret techniques, complex parries, and devastating attacks. The reality is profoundly, crushingly boring. Your training for the first year consists almost entirely of one thing: suburi, the practice of swinging the sword. You stand in a line with other students, and for hours on end you perform a single overhead cut. Over and over and over, your sensei walks the line, his bamboo practice sword, the shinai, a constant threat. Your stance is weak, he barks, and the shinai cracks against your legs to correct your posture. Your grip is wrong, a sharp rap on your knuckles. Your spirit is not in the cut, a stinging slap on your back. The work is grueling. The heavy bokken makes your shoulders, arms, and back ache with a deep, burning fire. Your hands are a mass of blisters that bleed, harden into calluses, and then bleed again. The goal is not to learn 100 different moves. The goal is to perfect one, to make a single, simple, downward cut so ingrained in your muscle memory, so connected to your spirit, that it becomes an unconscious reflex, as natural as breathing. You are not learning to fight. You are conditioning your body and your mind, emptying them of hesitation and doubt. It is a brutal, monotonous, and deeply meditative process. Thousands upon thousands of cuts, all in the pursuit of a single perfect moment of lethal simplicity. After you have demonstrated sufficient mastery of the basic cut, which takes years, you progress to what many consider the heart of the samurai's art, iai jutsu. This is the art of the draw. It is the skill of drawing the katana from its scabbard and delivering a killing blow in a single, fluid, almost impossibly fast motion. In the tense, ritualized world of the samurai, a duel is often won or lost in the fraction of a second it takes for a blade to clear its sheath. The first move is very often the last. Practicing iai jutsu is a new level of terror and concentration. You now practice with a live, razor-sharp blade. The slightest lapse in concentration, the smallest error in your form, and you could slice your own hand, arm, or leg open. Your sensei demonstrates the basic kata, or form. It is a sequence of 4 parts: drawing the sword and making the cut, nukitsuke, bringing the sword down on the opponent, akiritsuke, shaking the blood from the blade, chiburi, and returning the sword to its scabbard, noto. He performs it with a speed and grace that seems to defy the laws of physics. Your own attempts are clumsy, stiff, and terrifying. The act of returning the blade to the saya without looking is a nightmare of precision. You must guide the back of the blade along the web of your left thumb, a mistake of an inch meaning a deep, debilitating cut. It is a harsh and immediate teacher. It forces you into a state of absolute mindfulness. Your mind cannot wander. You must be completely present, your body, your breath, and the blade all moving as one. It is a strange and deadly meditation. The entire philosophy of the samurai is contained in this one act. The readiness for sudden, decisive action. The perfect union of mind and body. The calm acceptance of the possibility of death, either your opponent's or your own. You practice these forms for hours, the repetitive movements becoming a kind of prayer, a way of polishing your own spirit as you polish your technique. Now that you are a man, you are expected to wear your daisho everywhere you go, and you quickly learn that carrying a sword is far more complicated than simply tying it to your belt. It is a constant, nerve-wracking performance of social etiquette. Walking through the crowded streets of Edo is a minefield of potential insults and challenges. The long katana projects from your left hip, and you must be constantly aware of it. To allow your scabbard to even lightly touch another samurai's as you pass is a grave insult, known as saya-ate. Depending on the mood and status of the other man, such an accident could easily lead to a demand for an apology or a duel to the death. You learn to walk differently, to navigate crowds with a new, heightened awareness of your personal space. You learn the subtle, unspoken language of the scabbard, to pass another samurai on his left side. So your scabbards are far apart is a sign of peace. To deliberately pass on his right, forcing your scabbards close together, is a sign of aggression. If a samurai is sitting and he adjusts his swords, it is a signal. Is he making himself more comfortable, or is he preparing to draw? The humour of it strikes you one day as you are trying to squeeze past a large fishmonger's stall. You are a member of the elite warrior class, the masters of Japan. Yet you are spending most of your mental energy trying to make sure your very expensive, very deadly stick doesn't accidentally bump into someone else's very expensive, very deadly stick. It is the world's most dangerous and least practical fashion accessory. The sword is a symbol of your power to kill, but the etiquette surrounding it is designed almost entirely to prevent you from ever having to do so. The peace of the Tokugawa era is a piece built on a foundation of carefully managed and constantly present lethal threat. The complex etiquette of the sword extends from the street into the home. One afternoon, you were sent to deliver a message to a senior samurai, a man of high rank and a famous swordsman. This visit is another test, a silent examination of your breeding and discipline. You are shown into his reception room and asked to wait. The first thing you must do is deal with your swords. To enter another man's house wearing your long sword is a sign of distrust, as if you are expecting trouble. You must remove your katana. How you place it on the floor next to you is a critical piece of communication. You kneel and carefully place the katana on the tatami mat to your right. Crucially, you place it with the hilt, the tsuka, pointing towards you, and the curve of the blade facing away from your host. This is a sign of peace. It makes the sword difficult to draw quickly. Had you placed it on your left, or with the hilt pointing towards your host, it would have been an almost unimaginable insult, a clear signal of hostile intent. You are, in essence, saying, "I trust you enough to make my weapon inaccessible." You are, however, allowed to keep your shorter wakizashi in your sash. This is a sign that while you are at peace, you are not defenseless. The host enters. He notes, with a subtle, almost imperceptible nod, the correct placement of your sword. You have passed the first test. He then invites you to admire his own daisho, which is displayed in a special rack in the room's alcove, the tokonoma. This is a great honor. You approach the swords with reverence. You must not touch them without permission. You must not breathe on the polished steel. You comment on the beauty of the fittings, the quality of the lacquer on the scabbard. The entire interaction is a slow, quiet dance of mutual respect, all of it communicated through the silent language of steel. The swords are the centerpiece of the room, the invisible third party in the conversation. They are a constant reminder of the violence that is being held in check by this delicate and deeply serious code of conduct. For all the rules designed to prevent violence, sometimes it is unavoidable. An intractable dispute, a deep insult to your lord's honor, or a challenge from a rival dojo can lead to the one event that every samurai is trained for, but hopes to avoid, a shinken shobu, a duel with live blades. It is not a common occurrence in this era of peace, but it does happen, and you have found yourself in a position where to refuse would mean a lifetime of shame for you and your family. The duel is arranged to take place at dawn in a secluded spot by a riverbank. This is not a public spectacle. There are only a few official witnesses present. The atmosphere is not one of excitement, but of a heavy, somber gravity. You have spent the previous night in quiet meditation, writing a farewell poem in case the worst should happen. A duel is not a sport. It is an execution, where only one executioner has been decided. You and your opponent face each other across a designated space. You bow. Then you both draw your katanas. The sound of the steel sliding from the scabbards is unnervingly loud in the morning stillness. The epic 20-minute sword fights of the theatre are a complete fiction. A real duel is a thing of terrifying brevity. It is a battle of stillness, of spirit. You and your opponent stand almost motionless for what feels like an eternity. You are studying each other's stance, your breathing, the slightest flicker of an eye. You are looking for the tsuki, the infinitesimal opening, the moments of weakness in your opponent's concentration. The tension is unbearable. Then he moves. It is a blur of motion, a single powerful cut aimed at your head. But you were ready. Your 1,000 hours of practice, your endless repetitions take over. You do not think. You simply react. You parry his blow, the jarring shock of steel on steel vibrating up your arms, and in the same fluid motion, you deliver your own countercut. It is over in a single heartbeat. You stand, panting, your sword dripping. Your opponent lies on the ground, still. The duel has lasted less than 5 seconds. You have won. But as you stand there looking at the body of the man you have just killed, there is no feeling of triumph. There is no glory. There is only a profound, hollow emptiness and the coppery smell of blood. You have followed the code. You have defended your honor. And now you must live with the consequences. You perform the ritual of cleaning your blade, and then you return it to its scabbard. The silence that follows is heavier than any you have ever known. The duel is over, but the work is not. Winning does not make you a hero. It makes you a killer, and it brings with it a host of grim responsibilities. First, you must go through a ritual of purification to cleanse yourself of the spiritual stain of death, the Kagare. Then you must formally report the outcome of the duel to your lord. He may praise your skill, but a duel, even a sanctioned one, is a disruption to the social order. It is a messy, unfortunate business. And then there is the very real, very dangerous possibility of a blood feud. The dead man has a family. He has brothers, sons, cousins, who may now feel honor-bound to avenge him. Your victory in the duel has not ended the conflict. It may have just escalated it. For the next months, perhaps years, you will have to live with a new kind of awareness, a constant looking over your shoulder. Every stranger on the street is a potential assassin. Every friendly invitation could be a trap. This is the brutal reality of the way of the sword. It is not a path of glory, but a path of sorrow and burden. It is a lonely path, where your greatest victory can bring you the greatest danger. The sword, you realize, is a hungry god. It demands constant attention, constant discipline. And once it has tasted blood, it is never truly satisfied. The weight of the daisho at your hip feels heavier now than it ever has before. It is not just the weight of steel, but the weight of a life you have taken. In the quiet of your own home, you perform the ritual that is as much part of swordsmanship as the cut itself, the care and cleaning of your blade. The sword is not merely a tool, it is a sacred object, believed to have a spirit, a kami, of its own. To neglect it is to disrespect your ancestors, the smith who forged it, and your own soul as a samurai. You sit in formal kneeling position, a soft cloth spread before you. You carefully remove the hilt and the guard, disassembling the sword with a series of small, specialized tools. You take a piece of fine rice paper, nugigami, and gently wipe the old oil from the blade. Then you use the uchiko, a small ball of silk filled with a fine, abrasive powder made from a sharpening stone. You tap it lightly along the length of the blade, dusting it with a thin layer of white powder. Then, with a new piece of paper, you wipe the powder off, an act that cleans and polishes the steel, revealing the intricate, almost magical patterns of the hardening line, the hamon, which looks like a wisp of cloud along the cutting edge. The process is slow, meditative, and silent. It is an act of deep respect. You are not just cleaning a weapon, you are communing with it. You are appreciating the genius of the master smith, who folded the steel thousands of times, creating a blade that is both incredibly hard at the edge and soft in the spine, allowing it to be both sharp and resilient. Finally, you apply a thin layer of fresh choji oil to prevent rust, and then you reassemble the sword. The entire ritual can take an hour. It is in these quiet moments that you feel the true meaning of your calling, a connection to a tradition of discipline and beauty that transcends the sword's violent purpose. Decades have passed. You're an old man now, your hair the colour of winter frost. You sit on the veranda of your home, watching your grandson practice his sword swings in the garden with a wooden bokken. Your own daisho, the swords you were given on your coming-of-age day, rests on a formal rack inside. They have not been drawn in anger since that one fateful duel so many years ago. You have served your lord as an administrator, a scholar, a counsellor. Your life has been one of peace, not war. Your grandson's movements are clumsy, full of youthful impatience. You get up, your old bones protesting, and go to him. You do not shout or criticize. You simply adjust his grip, correct his stance. The sword is not in your arms, you tell him, your voice quiet. It is in your belly, in your breath. The cut is not the end of the movement. It is the beginning. You have come to understand the great paradox of your life. The way of the sword is not ultimately about learning how to kill. It is about learning how to live. The years of brutal, repetitive training, the constant awareness of the etiquette, the psychological burden of carrying a lethal weapon, it was all designed to forge not a killer, but a man of discipline, of self-control, of profound stillness. The highest art of the swordsman, you have learned, is not in drawing the blade, but in having the wisdom and the inner strength to keep it sheathed. The greatest victory is the one that is won without a fight. The katana was the soul of the samurai, but it was a heavy and demanding soul. It was a masterpiece of craftsmanship that was also a tool of brutal violence. It was a symbol of a warrior class that, for much of its history, was forbidden from acting as warriors. The art of the samurai sword was not just the art of the cut, but the far more difficult and far more profound art of restraint. It was a lifelong, grueling quest to master a deadly weapon so that, ultimately, one could master oneself. We are heading to the Giza plateau, to the foot of the Great Pyramids, to contemplate one of the most mysterious and iconic monuments on Earth, the Great Sphinx. We see it as a timeless, mystical guardian, a magical creature that has watched over the desert for all of history. But the brutal reality of the Sphinx is a story of geological accident, backbreaking labour, terrible quality materials, and long, lonely centuries of being completely forgotten, buried up to its neck in sand. The sun is setting over the western desert, and a great, silent watch is about to begin. You've been here for 50 million years, and your story is just getting started. You are not a creature of flesh and blood. Your consciousness is not one of fleeting thoughts and emotions. You are stone. You are a vast, patient, and ancient being of limestone, the bedrock of what will one day be called the Giza Plateau. Your first memories are of water, of the warm, shallow Eocene sea that once covered this land. You remember the slow, gentle pressure of millennia as the shells and skeletons of countless tiny sea creatures drifted down, settling upon you, layer by agonizingly slow layer, compressing and hardening into the substance of your very being. You are a library of ancient life, written in the language of fossils. The sea retreats, and you are exposed to a new world. You feel the sun for the first time, a searing, white-hot presence. You feel the wind, a restless sculptor carrying grains of sand that polish your surface with a patient, abrasive touch. For millions of years, this is your entire existence. The slow, rhythmic cycle of scorching day and cool star-filled night. The rare, violent rush of a desert flash flood. The imperceptible creep of erosion. You are a landscape in waiting. You are time itself, made solid. You measure your life not in hours or years, but in the slow, grinding passage of eons. You are not a uniform being. You are made of layers. A deep, hard, and durable layer of good stone forms your base. Above that, a soft, crumbly, and terribly flawed layer of rock full of clay and sand. And at your very top, another layer of strong, fine-grained limestone. These are the accidents of your creation, the random geology of a long-dead sea. You have no idea that these distinct layers of your body will one day dictate the destiny of your shape and the long, slow story of your decay. For now, you simply are a silent, sun-baked plateau, dreaming of the sea. Then, after an eternity of silence, a new sound, a new feeling. It is the faint, rhythmic chipping of stone on stone. A new form of life has arrived. They are small, bipedal creatures, their skin soft, their lives a frantic, fleeting flicker compared to your own vast existence. They are humans, and they have discovered that you are useful. They have come to build tombs for their dead kings, great pointed mountains of stone that are designed to last forever. They have come to build the pyramids. They begin to cut into you. It is a strange and not entirely unpleasant sensation. For millions of years, your only companions have been the sun and the wind. Now you are being touched, shaped by these energetic, purposeful beings. You feel the bite of their copper chisels and the heavy, percussive shock of their stone mauls. They are quarrying you. They cut great, rectangular blocks from your surface, freeing pieces of yourself that have been locked in place since the dawn of time. You watch with a stony indifference as they haul these massive blocks of your own body away on wooden sledges. Thousands of the small creatures working together, their rhythmic chanting and no kind of song on the plateau. They are building the great pyramid of their king, Khufu. The work is brutal, relentless, and it goes on for decades. The plateau is transformed from a silent, natural landscape into a vast, noisy, and dusty construction site. They quarry deep into your surface, creating a huge horseshoe-shaped pit. But they do not take all of you. In the center of the quarry, they leave a large, awkward-shaped mound of rock, a massive outcropping that they cannot use. The reason is simple. This part of you is made from the soft, crumbly, second-rate layer of stone. It is too flawed, too weak, to be used in the king's great house of eternity. And so, as the quarrying for the great pyramid is completed, you are left behind. A massive, unwanted lump of stone, a geological reject, sitting alone in the middle of a man-made basin. For a time, you are forgotten. The work on the plateau continues. The pyramid of Khufu is finished, its sides gleaming with polished white casing stones. A second, slightly smaller pyramid rises nearby, for a new king, Khafre. The quarrying continues, but the great mound in the center of the pit remains untouched. You are a geological anomaly, an obstacle. The little creatures scurry around you, their minds on other things. You settle back into your ancient rhythm, watching the sun and the stars, feeling the wind on your rough quarried skin. Your brief, violent interaction with humanity seems to be over. But then a new idea forms in the mind of one of the little creatures. Perhaps it is the king himself, Khafre. Perhaps it is one of his royal architects. They look at the massive, unwanted rock, the rock that was not good enough for the pyramids. They notice its shape. It is long and low, and from a certain angle, it already looks a bit like the body of a crouching lion. An idea of breathtaking ambition and startling economy is born. Why quarry this stone away? Why not transform it? This great useless piece of rock will not be a tomb. It will be a sculpture, the largest sculpture the world has ever known. A new kind of activity begins. The creatures swarm over you once more, but this time they are not cutting you into blocks to be carried away. They are chipping away at your surface, not to remove you, but to find the shape that lies within you. The architect's vision is a powerful one. You will be a guardian, a mythical beast, the body of a lion, a symbol of immense power, and the head of a man, the head of a king, a god on earth. You will be the protector of this entire sacred landscape, the city of the dead. It is a strange and intimate process. After eons of being shaped only by the slow, indifferent forces of nature, you are now being shaped by the focused, intentional power of the human imagination. They are giving you a face. They are giving you a form. They are turning you from a thing into a being. The birth is a slow, loud, and dusty ordeal. The work begins at your highest point, on the hard, good quality layer of limestone that will become your head. This is the most important part. The face must be perfect, an idealized, eternal portrait of the God King. Thousands of workers descend upon you. Gangs of them chip away the great rough masses of stone, using heavy stone mauls and copper chisels. The chisels are made of soft copper, and they blunt quickly against your hard skin. An army of blacksmiths works nearby, in a constant flurry of fire and hammering, resharpening the thousands of chisels that are needed each day. The noise is a constant deafening roar, a symphony of chipping, hammering, and the shouting of men. The air is thick with a white, choking limestone dust that coats everything, that fills the lungs of the workers, that turns the sky into a hazy, milky veil. As the rough shape emerges, a more skilled team of master sculptors takes over. They work with a delicate, precise touch, their fine chisels defining the features of your face. They carve the high cheekbones, the full lips, the strong square jaw. They carve the empty staring eyes, fixing your gaze upon the eastern horizon. Then they move down to your body, and here the work is different. They encounter the soft, crumbling layers of your middle section. The stone here is treacherous. Great, flaky chunks of it break off unexpectedly. The workers must be careful, adapting their technique, working with the flaws of your own geology. They carve the powerful leonine shoulders, the long, outstretched paws. They leave the flaws, the different coloured bands of rock, as part of your form. You will be a striped creature, a testament to the ancient sea that made you. The work takes years. An entire generation of men will spend a part of their lives crawling over your surface, slowly revealing your final form. You are not built up. You are revealed. You are a monolithic sculpture, carved from a single living piece of bedrock. You are not a construction. You are a revelation. At last, the final chisel falls silent. The dust settles, and you are complete. But you are not the plain, monochrome creature of sand-coloured stone that the world will know in later millennia. You are a vibrant, dazzling spectacle of colour. The workers have covered you in a layer of plaster, and they have painted you in bright, bold colours. Your face and body are a deep, ruddy red. The ceremonial Nem's headdress that frames your face is painted with brilliant yellow and blue stripes. Your eyes are intricately detailed, making your gaze seem piercingly alive. You are given a name, not the Sphinx, that is a Greek name for a Greek monster, a name that will not be attached to you for another 2,000 years. To your creators, you are Hor-Maket, Horus on the horizon. You are the embodiment of the sun god, a manifestation of Horus, the divine protector of kingship. A great temple is constructed before you, its entrance perfectly aligned with your pores. A causeway is built, linking your temple to the pyramid of Khafre. You are now part of a vast, sacred complex. Your purpose is to watch. Your unblinking eyes are fixed on the point where the sun rises each morning, and where it sets each evening. You are a guardian of the dawn and the dusk, the liminal moments between night and day. You are the eternal protector of the Giza necropolis, your powerful lion's body warding off the evil spirits of the western desert, your divine king's face gazing out over the fertile valley of the Nile. You watch as priests perform the daily rituals in your temple, their chants and the smell of their incense a constant pleasant companion. You are a god. You are a king. You are a lion. You are a mountain. And your watch has begun. But the works of even the greatest kings are fleeting. The dynasty that created you, the fourth dynasty, comes to an end. The glory of their old kingdom fades. New kings build their pyramids elsewhere. The Giza plateau, once the vibrant center of the world, becomes a quiet, abandoned city of the dead. The priests stop coming. The rituals cease. The incense no longer perfumes the air. Your only companion is the wind, and the wind brings the sand. The desert, which the humans had pushed back, begins to reclaim its own. It is a slow, patient, and relentless siege. Day after day, year after year, the wind carries a fine golden dust from the west. It piles up against your southern flank, forming a small dune. The dune grows, grain by imperceptible grain. It climbs your lion's body, burying your paws, your legs, your chest. You are powerless to stop it. You are a creature of stone, defined by your immobility. The sand is your old enemy and your old friend. For centuries, you sleep. The world forgets you. You become a part of the landscape once more, a strange head-shaped hill rising from a sea of sand. Your great body, buried beneath the surface, is protected from the corrosive power of the wind and the rare, destructive rains. But your neck and your face are exposed, bearing the full brunt of the desert's slow, abrasive caress. The wind, armed with its tiny particles of quartz, is a patient sculptor, and it begins to recarve your features, softening your sharp lines, wearing away your painted skin. You do not mind. It is simply a return to your natural state. You watch the dynasties of men rise and fall, their fleeting concerns as distant and meaningless as the buzzing of flies. You sleep and you wait. After nearly 1,000 years of slumber, you are awakened. A new dynasty of kings rules Egypt, a new kingdom, and they have returned to venerate the ancient gods of Giza. One day, a young prince, a man named Thutmose, is hunting in the desert. Tired from the chase, he lies down to rest in the shadow of your great head, the only part of you that offers any shade. He falls asleep, and in his sleep, you, the great god Horomaket Kepri Ra'atum, speak to him. It is a dream, a vision. You tell the prince of your plight, of the sand that oppresses your limbs. You make him a divine bargain. Free me from the sand, you promise him, and I shall give you the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. Whether the dream is a true divine message or a clever piece of political propaganda by the prince, the result is the same. Thutmose, upon becoming pharaoh, Thutmose IV, fulfills his vow. He mounts a massive restoration project. For the first time in a millennium, the little creatures return to you with a purpose. They bring not chisels, but shovels. They begin the long, arduous task of digging you out of the desert. It takes months. Slowly, your great body is revealed once more. Your powerful leonine form, protected by the sand for so long, emerges back into the sunlight. Thutmose's workers repair the damage the desert has done, patching the eroded sections of your body with new stone blocks. To commemorate his pious act, Thutmose erects a huge granite tablet, the dream stele, right between your paws. It tells the story of his dream, his promise, and your divine bargain. You are once again a centre of worship, a destination for pilgrims. You have been reborn, but you know the truth. The sand will return. It always does. The centuries continue their slow, relentless march. Your fame grows, but your body weakens. The cycle of burial and excavation repeats itself. The Ptolemies, the Greek rulers of Egypt, perform repairs. Then the Romans come. They are not conquerors here, but tourists. They stand before you, tiny figures in their togas, and marvel at your size, your antiquity. They write graffiti on your pores. They invent new stories about you, confusing you with their own mythical Sphinx from Thebes, a female monster who asks riddles. It is a case of mistaken identity that will stick with you for the next 2,000 years. The paint, which was so vibrant at your birth, has long since vanished, bleached away by millennia of sun. The poor quality limestone of your body continues to crumble and flake. The patches and repairs made by Thutmose and the Romans fall away. The ceremonial, plaited beard that a new kingdom pharaoh attached to your chin, an addition you never asked for, cracks under its own weight and falls off, shattering into pieces on the ground below. Then a new kind of human arrives in the land. They are followers of a new god, a god who despises images and idols. In the mind of one of these men, a Sufi iconoclast in the 14th century, your great, impassive face is an affront, a pagan blasphemy. He and his followers arrive not with offerings, but with hammers and chisels. They climb onto your face and perform a new kind of sculpture. It is an act of violent subtraction. You feel the sharp, brutal blows against your nose, chipping away the stone until nothing is left but a flat, scarred surface. It is a new kind of wound, a deliberate insult, a scar you will carry for all time. More centuries drift by. The sand returns, a comforting blanket. You sleep again, a noseless god dreaming of a forgotten face. Then, another awakening. It is the 19th century of the Christian era. A new kind of man has arrived from Europe. They come first with an army, led by a small, ambitious general named Napoleon. His soldiers, it is said, use you for target practice, though the real damage was done long before. They are followed by a new kind of priest, the archaeologist. These new men are armed not with chisels or prayers, but with measuring tapes, with scientific instruments, with an insatiable curiosity. They once again begin the great work of digging you out of the sand, not to worship you, but to study you. They scrape away the centuries, revealing your full form, your temples, your steles. They are obsessed with your secrets. Who built you? When? Why? They give you your Greek name, the Sphinx, and they project onto you the riddle of their own making. You offer them no answers. You remain silent, as you always have. You watch as they build their own strange new world around you. A great, sprawling city of noise and smoke grows on the far side of the river. Men arrive in horseless iron carriages. They come to you in their thousands now, from all corners of the world, and they stare at you through small black boxes that capture your image. They ask the same questions, over and over. You are the great Sphinx, a riddle in stone. But the riddle is not one of words. It is one of endurance. You are a monument born of a geological accident, an act of pharaonic will, and the brutal, back-breaking labour of thousands of forgotten men. You have been a god, a symbol of kingship, a forgotten hill of sand, a tourist attraction, and a scientific puzzle. You have watched the pyramids themselves, those perfect, eternal mountains of stone, begin to be worn down by the patient, relentless hand of time. You have watched civilizations rise, glitter, and crumble into dust. And you are still here. Your nose is gone. Your body is scarred and patched, But you remain. Your gaze is still fixed on the eastern horizon, waiting for the dawn, a silent stone guardian at the heart of human history.